Okay, so it's time for a review. In German, that's called a Wiederholung. Wiederholung. So in lessons 5 to 11, we've been working with the verb to speak in German. Sprechen, to speak. Sprechen, sprechen. And essentially what you've learned how to do is conjugate the verb. So this is a summary of all of the different forms that you've learned. I speak, ich spreche. You speak, du sprichst. Now, du sprichst is the informal singular, which means you will use this one when you're speaking to someone you know well, when you're addressing someone you know well, and you're also addressing just one person. So again, think about the scenario. You're talking to one person that you know well. You would say, du sprichst. He speaks, spricht. She speaks, sie spricht. One that we didn't cover, but also falls under this category, is es spricht, which means it speaks. So we put all these together because they share the same form in German here. Spricht, spricht. We speak, wir sprechen. You speak, notice that's you speak again, but it's a different scenario. This is informal and plural, which means you're speaking to a group of people that you know well. Plural means a group of people, so two or more. Again, people that you know well, your friends or your family members. You would say, ihr sprecht, ihr sprecht. So again, we have you speak. The scenario is different here. This is formal, which means you're addressing someone that you've met for the first time. It's a formal situation, or you would like to be polite when you address this person. And it could be one person or two or more people. And the form is sie sprechen, sie sprechen. And finally, they speak. Sie sprechen, sie sprechen. So that covers all the forms. Notice that the only one that's a little tricky is translating or interpreting you speak to German. We just have different scenarios here, so you have to think about the scenario and choose the appropriate form. Now this is what we call a stem changing verb. Notice in some cases the E changes to an I, so we have spreche and sprichst and spricht. The next important thing I would like to point out is at this point, become very aware of the endings. In other words, when you pick a subject, there's a particular ending that you'll use for each of those subjects. For most verbs, this covers most verbs in German in the present tense. Notice there's an E, ich, the ending is E, du, the ending is ST, sie, or also the S, the ending is T, wir, the ending is EN, ihr, the ending is T, and sie, the ending is EN. So if I go back, notice the endings. Ich spreche, du sprichst, there's the ST. Sie, es spricht, there's the T. Wir sprechen, there's the EN. Ihr sprecht, there's the T. Sie sprechen, there's the EN. Sie sprechen, also the EN. So it's important to know these endings because they are the same for most verbs in the present tense. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about conjugating verbs in the present tense in future lessons. So for now, just be very much aware of the different endings and how those endings are associated with the subject pronouns. Okay, so let's move on now to the really fun part. What I think is fun, because this is where I show you all that you've learned and all that you can say in German with just a few brief lessons. Okay, so I've put up here all of the information that we've covered so far. So let's go ahead and just start combining it with a few examples. So if you want to say, I speak German, you would say, ich spreche Deutsch. I speak English, ich spreche Englisch. I speak Spanish, ich spreche Spanisch. I speak French, ich spreche Französisch. I speak Italian, ich spreche Italienisch. I speak Portuguese, ich spreche Portugiesisch. If you want to say you speak, that's du sprichst. Remember, this is the informal and singular. So you speak German, du sprichst Deutsch. You speak English, du sprichst Englisch. You speak Spanish, du sprichst Spanisch. You speak French, du sprichst Französisch. Okay, let's go ahead and jump to the next one. He speaks. That would be spricht, spricht. He speaks German, spricht Deutsch. He speaks Spanish, spricht Spanisch. He speaks Portuguese, spricht Portugiesisch. She speaks, sie spricht, sie spricht. She speaks English, sie spricht Englisch. She speaks Italian, sie spricht Italienisch. How about we speak? Wir sprechen. We speak German, wir sprechen Deutsch. We speak English, wir sprechen English. You speak, ihr sprecht. Remember, this is plural, and this is informal, people you know well. So you speak French, ihr sprecht Französisch. You speak Portuguese, ihr sprecht Portugiesisch. You speak, now this is formal. It could be addressing one person or addressing more than one person. If I want to say you speak German as a statement, I would say, Sie sprechen Deutsch. You speak English, Sie sprechen Englisch. Finally, they speak, Sie sprechen. Notice the difference is the capital S here and the lowercase s here. Otherwise, they sound identical. Okay, so they speak Portuguese, Sie sprechen Portugiesisch. They speak Spanish, Sie sprechen Spanisch. So you've really learned a lot in these last few lessons. One more thing. Remember that you can take a statement and make a question out of it by reversing the subject pronoun and the conjugated form of the verb. So for example, du sprichst, I can say sprichst du. Do you speak? So sprichst du, do you speak German? Sprichst du Deutsch? Remember, this is someone you know well. Do you speak English? Sprichst du Englisch? Do you speak Spanish? Sprichst du Spanisch? Do you speak French? Sprichst du Französisch? Okay, I can also ask the question, does he speak? So spricht er. Does he speak Spanish? Spricht er Spanisch? Does he speak French? Spricht er Französisch? Does she speak? Spricht sie? Does she speak Portuguese? Spricht sie Portugiesisch? How about, do you speak, plural, people you know well, sprecht ihr? Do you speak German? Sprecht ihr Deutsch? Do you speak English? Sprecht ihr Englisch? This is one you've probably heard, even if you don't speak German. Do you speak, and this is the formal, it could be singular or plural. So, do you speak German? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Do you speak English? Sprechen Sie Englisch? Sprechen Sie Englisch? Do you speak Spanish? Sprechen Sie Spanisch? Do you speak French? Sprechen Sie Französisch? Okay? And finally, do they speak? Sprechen Sie, notice it's a lowercase, so context, again, will tell you the meaning, whether sprechen Sie is do you speak or do they speak. Okay, so we're talking about other people. We've established that in the conversation. So I want to know, do those other people speak German? Then I would say, oh, sprechen Sie Deutsch? Do they speak German? Sprechen Sie English? Do they speak English? You could also ask a question using the I. For example, spreche ich English? Do I speak English? Or do we speak? Sprechen wir English? Do we speak English? Sprechen wir Französisch? Do we speak French? Okay, well, there you have it. So with just these last few lessons, lessons 5 through 11, this is all you've learned, and you can really say a lot in German now. Okay, well, to continue learning, remember, click on the video that appears here on the screen to go to the next lesson. Auf Wiedersehen.